call the meeting to order? Do I need to do it?
Mark,
Sorry, Chief.
and do we?
I need the script. Or do I need a script? I don't know what to say.
So basically it's a special meeting. We're just calling a special meeting order for the audit review of the 23-24 budget. And the other item was the collective bargaining agreement for the 25-26.
23-24 budget.
Yeah. Pretty sure, right? This is when we're talking about 23-24. Yeah, this should be 24.
Yeah,
That should be 24. Yes, 23-24.
Oh, you know, we're going to do that.
Yeah, Mark can do it, Ryan. So I want to make sure Kate's got it recorded and we can start the meeting.
I'll fumble through it, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm dealing with work stuff right now. So.
I just want to Rick got on. I just want to make sure we had a quorum.
Oh, if Rick's there, then that'd be wonderful.
Can you hear me?
Have a
Isn't that Austin? Must be Austin.
Yeah, it's me. I'm in
Okay,
a car
cool.
full of people, so I'm gonna try and mute myself.
Okay, no problem.
Is it possible that I can step out of this meeting now that we have a quorum so I can go back into this other?
Yeah, I think so, Ryan. I think, but I will, call me when you're done with your other meeting because we need to talk about if they approve the collective bargaining agreement. I'll need you to come sign it.
Okay, I'll call you back.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, bye.
Bye. Okay, so looking ready.
Okay.
Are we ready, Kate?
Yeah, recording started.
Okay, so
I'm calling this, Thunder Fire and Rescue meeting to order. We're discussing the 2023-2024 budget, audit and the collective bargaining agreement.
okay, so we have our public accountants that have graciously done multiple audits for us. So I guess that is our number one thing on the agenda for the board today. If who would like to take it away for the audit for 23-24?
All right. Good noon, everyone. My name is Fierce. I'm the audit manager for the FY24 audit. I am joined today by Kathy Wilson. She's the engagement partner, and Brad Bingenheimer, also an engagement partner for the audit. All right, so I'll share my screen now. First on our list would be the audited financial report. And with this report, if you go to on the 4th page of your PDF is where we have our audit opinion. And in our opinion, the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. So that's an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion in other terms. We do have items you wanted to emphasize in our audit report. And the first one is that the district uses a basis of accounting that is other than US GAAP, and that's modified cash basis of accounting. I believe there has been a question that was raised about the use of such accounting basis, and Brad is here to discuss that in more detail later. The second one that we wanted to emphasize in our audit report is the adoption or implementation of GASB 100, which deals with accounting changes and error corrections. While there are no error corrections, there has been a change in the reporting entity. So usually when a previously non-major fund becomes a major fund or vice versa, that change needs to be reflected as required by the new GASB. And so in your audited financial statements, it would show here in your, this is in the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances. I'll highlight here that change has been reflected. And so that's why we have in our audit opinion an emphasis regarding this change. We've also issued a letter to those charged with governance, and we've also highlighted the same matters there, the use of modified cash basis of accounting, and the adoption of GASB 100. Again, our opinions were not modified with respect to this matter. We'd also like to highlight that there were no uncorrected misstatements. That means all the errors that we noted have been adjusted by management, or that we proposed and have been accepted by management. And so there were 4 audit adjustments that were accepted by management. The first one relates to adjustments that we proposed in the prior year that were not recorded in the general ledger. So we reproposed those to basically correct the beginning fund balances. The second and third adjustments were more of reclassifications, basically just the coding is different, or it would have to be a different revenue account that would have to be hit. And so those 2 are just reclassifications, no income impact. The fourth one deals with accounts payable. So typically in a modified cash basis of accounting, there shouldn't be an accounts payable. And so during the audit, since I think that this is an ongoing effort from Kate's team, is that they would record expenditures and it would flow into the accounts payable. During the audit, we reverse those accounts payable and basically reverses also those expenditures. And so this entry might be recurring until management addresses that accrual recording in the general ledger. We've also issued another letter, and this is with regards, we call it the management letter. This is a letter with regards to internal control. While it is not our intention to do testing of effectiveness of district's internal control, we do consider internal controls when we are issuing an opinion on the financial statements. And we noted a deficiency in an internal control. And this deficiency has been highlighted or have been communicated to the management last year. There wasn't just enough time to correct this deficiency for FY24 because the 23 audit, we started the 23 audit after the fiscal year end 24. And so there wasn't really time for the management to correct that deficiency effective for FY24. But I believe Kate has communicated that this deficiency has been addressed for FY25. And just to read, so it deals with the lack of review of journal entries. It was noted that not all journal entries that were recorded are being reviewed or approved by management. Going back to the financial statements, we would like to highlight the following. So cash and cash equivalents are sitting at 3.6 million at the end of the year. That's up from 2.8 million last year. That's more or less also your net position, and bulk of your net position is unrestricted. In your governmental financial statements, it would show that part of the unrestricted net position, 583,000 of that is committed to building and equipment. During the year, revenues in excess of your expenditures were about $1 million. So that's a positive. That means you're receiving taxes and charges for services over the expenditures that you incurred during the year. And so that's about $1 million. And since this is modified cash basis, that's predominantly also cash, represents cash. And I've highlighted this earlier that capital fund, which was previously a non-major fund, has been, because of the ratios involved with major and non-major fund classification, has been classified as a major fund for FY24, and so that has been reflected here too. Right. If you have questions, please raise them. I'll turn it over to Brad to discuss about modified cash basis.
Fierce,
Yes.
could you touch on the state report, our auditor's opinion on the state report?
Right.
Back as well.
That's correct. I forgot about that. Yes. So in addition to the audit opinion, we also issue a report that is required by Oregon state regulations. So we basically perform these minimum standards as part of our audit that deals with deposits of public funds with financial institutions, local budget law, procurement, and other types of testing. And in relation to that, nothing came to our attention that caused us to believe that the district was not in substantial compliance. So this is a negative assurance. We're basically just saying that nothing came to our attention that deals with non-compliance with ORS. All right, I'll turn it over now to Brad.
Thank you, Fierce. So I understand there were some questions about the district using the cash basis of accounting versus following GAAP. Little backstory, when we were hired as the district's auditors, the district was behind several years in getting the audit performed.
Well, let me answer this and then we'll have to go back.
What was that?
So we had a catastrophic failure of one of our computers. So we've been off for the last about 10 minutes trying to get back online. So everybody in the room here didn't hear anything you guys talked about before. So what I would say, sir, is finish your thought, because that's one of the questions we had was about the cash basis. So, and then we'll jump back to what you guys talked about before. So we missed all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. Fierce, you get to do it all over again.
Good practice, Brad.
Perfect. So anyways, when we came in as the district's auditor, the district was several years behind in having its audit performed. And, one of the things that does take time in an audit under GAAP is trying to accumulate lots of other information, that's not necessarily directly in your general ledger on a day-to-day basis. So we suggested, let's simplify things. You need to get your audits caught up. So let's simplify things by going to a cash basis of accounting. That way, the only assets that is reported is basically cash. You might have a few liabilities for payroll withholdings and that. But other than that, you don't have anything else on the balance sheet for the district. And then we can, get through the audits, very quickly, much quicker than we would if we were reporting under GAAP. You have to think about this. If you're reporting under, GAAP, it's more than just recording receivables and payables. There's a whole lot more behind it. There's reporting of all your capital assets, including, the calculation of depreciation on those, reporting on all your long-term obligations. And that's not just debt. That includes things like your net pension liability associated with your participation in PERS, your other post-employment benefits that would come into play, where, some of those we get information from PERS. You also have to get your own actuarial valuation on your district's what's called the implicit subsidy, because you have to allow retirees to continue participation in your group health plan. So there's just a lot more complexities under GAAP. And we said, well, under Oregon law, the modified cash basis of accounting is allowable. It's much simpler. We can get the audits caught up and done. And then in the future, if you want to talk about this again, we can. However, I would say, is it needed? Who are the users of the financial statement, and what additional information would they be getting by having all these other things reported? And many times we find that the cost of that is not commensurate with the benefit that's derived. It was interesting, just the last 2 days, all three of us were in our Oregon Society's governmental conference. And on the first day, they had a gentleman who was kind of presenting on behalf of GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association. He is the Chief Financial Officer for King County. And he was talking about, GFOA has done some, research on what's important to users of the financial statements. And when it comes to like governing bodies, they care really about two things. One, that they got a clean opinion, and two, that what was their fund balance at the end of the year. Those are the things that they care about. And so, we came to the district with this idea. Let's simplify things. Rather than going through all the work to have the district produce GAAP financial statements. So that was the thought process at that time. We could certainly, talk about, going back to a full GAAP basis. However, I would say, there's going to be additional costs incurred for the district just in terms of the time required to gather additional information. You would need to be engaging an actuary. Special Districts Association can help you with that for your other post-employment benefit obligation. And I would say that at the same time, your audit cost is also going to go up because now we're going to be auditing a lot more numbers. So those are all the reasons why we encourage the district to go to the cash basis of accounting. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on that.
No, sir, I think the biggest thing was there was just confusion even on our end, including myself, on why we went with one or the other. And clearly that was your guys' recommendation. We're not as complicated as some larger organizations. And I'm assuming it just makes it easier for us to not only dot the I's and cross the T's, but allow you guys to actually look into the books and see where the funds are and how we're spending them. Yes,
it creates a much more streamlined audit. We aren't auditing as nearly as many numbers. We're basically auditing cash, payroll liabilities, and then receipts and disbursements. So it allows us to, comply with Oregon law, that you have to have an audit. We did get you caught up now, June 30, 24. Next one will be June 30, 25, which hasn't arrived yet. So, at least we're, within that year. Of course, we'd always like to get these done sooner. And of course, that's what we've done every year is just, manage to keep pushing it back. So now we are in a position for June 30, 25, hopefully to get this all wrapped up and issued before the end of the calendar year. So.
I think we have on the books for September.
September.
Okay. So thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions regarding how our accounting has been decided?
So Brad, I reviewed this and everything looks good to me. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, yeah. So Fierce talked all about our audit report here. Well, we didn't know. He was just talking to thin air. So I don't want to steal his thunder. So I'm going to turn it back to Fierce, who's going to talk about our audit and our opinions and some of the financial highlights.
So I'll start with our audit opinion. Our audit opinion is an unmodified opinion or clean opinion. That means the financial statements were presented fairly in all material respects. We do have two items that we wanted to emphasize in our audit opinion. The first one is the use of the modified cash basis of accounting, which Brad has explained. The second one is the adoption of GASB 100 as it relates to accounting changes and error corrections. While there are no error corrections, there was a change in the reporting entity. That happens when a non-major fund becomes a major fund during the year, and I'll show you that one later. The second report that we issued is as required by Oregon state regulations. We do perform minimum standards procedures in relation to our audit that deals with public funds, local budget law, insurance, and procurement. And in connection with that testing, nothing came to our attention that caused us to believe that the district was not in substantial compliance. So that means nothing just came to our attention. It's a negative assurance. The third report that we communicated, or sorry, not a report, but a letter that we sent to those charged with governance. That's the board of directors. And in that letter, we also highlighted the use of the modified cash basis of accounting and the adoption of a new standard. In addition, we've also noted here that there are no uncorrected misstatements. That means all the misstatements that we encountered have been corrected by management. In fact, there were 4 adjustments that were made. The first one deals with what was basically triggered by adjustments that were not recorded in the general ledger when the trial balance was provided to us. So we basically had, proposed adjustments last year that should have been booked, were not booked, so we reproposed those this year. The next 2 adjustments that we recorded were technically reclassifications, but we treat them as adjustments because these have to be reflected in the general ledger. This has no net impact, no net income impact, and so yeah, everything just offsets. The fourth one relates to modified cash basis of accounting. So we reverse the accounts payable because accounts payable relates to accrual method, and so we reverse that. We reverse it against the respective expenditure accounts, and we do this every year. But we're hoping next year that there will be some method or adjustments already being made prior to the trial balance being finalized and provided to us. The last letter that we issued relates to internal control deficiencies that we noted as part of our financial statements audit. And in this management letter, we communicated that there was a lack of review of journal entries that we noted. So not all journal entries that were recorded are being reviewed and approved by management. And again, to highlight this deficiency has been noted in FY23, and we reiterated it for FY24 only because the timing of our audit didn't really allow management to correct that deficiency because we had our audit, we had our 23 audit just after the FY24 fiscal year ended. And so anything that we find that could not be reflected back to that fiscal year. However, per our communication with Kate, this deficiency will definitely be addressed in FY25. Back to the financial statements, we would just like to highlight certain financials or numbers. Your cash and cash equivalents was sitting at 3.6 million at the end of the year. That's up from 2.8 million last year. Bulk of your net position is unrestricted, and about 583,000 of that is committed to building and equipment. And here I will show you how the change from a non-major fund to a major fund is being reflected into the financial statements. And that applied to capital fund, because capital fund previously was non-major fund last year, became a major fund this year. And so that change has been reflected here in the financial statements. We'd also like to note that the net change in your fund balances was about $1 million, and because this is a modified cash basis of accounting that also reflects that your revenues are over your expenditures by $1 million, and that reflects cash predominantly. Right. Yep. Any questions?
So for your Chief Smythe, just to clarify, so you guys have completed 3 audits with us. Is it safe to say that every audit we've improved, working towards what we need to get to, where we should be as an organization? If you can summarize that, I think that would be great for our folks and us to know.
Yes, I think Kathy could probably, so I was only part of the audit this year, but Kathy could probably have a better idea of, comparing all the 3 years of audits.
Hi, all. Yes, safe to say that it has improved immensely from the first audit that we did to the current year. Kate was able to provide us support for all of the information that we requested. There was no issues in getting the information that we needed. So definitely a much smoother, much more supported audit than that first one, for sure. Yes, because I believe we modified our opinion on the first because we weren't able to get comfortable with some of the balances that were reported. So, and I think just the district determining whether the continuation of using a modified cash basis versus using a GAAP is really your only sticking point at this point, because that conversion takes some time and is a pretty heavy lift. Whether Eric's doing that for you now, or if that'll continue to be part of the audit, it does take us some time to make that conversion. But the district just needs to determine, what the users of the financial statements, what is it that they need to see, what's important to them. So great. And Kate and the team there are always, they've been great to work with, very open, very willing to accept recommendations. We appreciate that as the auditors.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions from Paul, Rick? Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
I'm good over here too.
Or Austin?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I'm good.
Okay. Paul?
He's muted.
You're muted, Paul, if you're saying anything. Okay. Mark, do you have any other questions?
No.
Kate, do you have anything you want to ask or anything?
No.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you guys for working with us and trudging through 3 audits in a very short period of time. It's a lot of work on your folks, and we appreciate the assistance and all the direction you've given us to hopefully continue to improve, make them better each time.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure that Kate is very happy to be caught up as well. So
Sure.
yeah. Yeah, we look forward to this next year being more normal.
Yes.
Yes. My goal every year, smoother and smoother.
Well, I think that I don't think the board has any other questions, so we appreciate you guys taking a time out on Thursday here to walk through this. We look forward to seeing you guys in September for our actual up-to-date and corrected, ready to go audit for, we're on time and where we should be. So we're excited about that. We look forward to seeing you guys in maybe a few months.
Great, perfect. Thanks, Chief.
That's great.
Thanks for
Thank you.
having us today.
You guys have a good day, and we're gonna. We've got the rest of the board members. Please don't hang up.
All right. Bye.
I think I figured my mic out. Can you hear me now?
Now we hear it. Paul.
We can
There
hear you
go.
now.
Cool.
Okay, so an audit. Obviously, our audits have, their term was substantially gotten better, which we're always excited about, and we want to continue that trend of not only just the transparency, but making sure that we are compliant with local, state, and federal regulations. And they're definitely have been a asset to us in the last year, busting through this. So I appreciate all the work Kate has done, getting them the information, the chiefs and members that have had to contribute time to make sure we get the data to them. So thank you guys for that. Mark, that concludes that portion of the board meeting.
We're gonna close it.
No, we need to talk about CBA.
All right, we're gonna talk about the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, so yesterday I emailed you guys the red line version of the CBA. I'll be honest, this is the third or fourth one I've done with 3215. We knocked it out in 3 days. So 3 days of work. I really do appreciate Dustin and Jim Polito helping and being open to this, along with Chief Schrotzberger sitting down and working through this. So the gist of it is a lot of it was just some general cleanup. They changed some terminology and a few things. What we ended up coming to working with KT and our CPA was a 3% cost of living for the district, and the change to sick leave that allows our members post 2017 to accrue 24 hours a month, just like the pre-17 guys do. But the caveat is they have a cap. They cannot exceed 1440, which is 6 months of sick leave. That's the maximum they can actually accrue at any time. They can't use any more. So those are the 2 big points that, along with some general cleanup. It's only a 1-year contract. They hope that we have a better financial outlook, which we probably will next year, at least a better idea where we're at financially. And then probably looking at either 2 or 3 year contract after that. So this contract would begin July 1 and end June 30th of 26. And so I hope you gentlemen had time to look at it. You guys have questions. Myself or Chief Schrotzberger are happy to answer.
I had a hard time hearing you. What was the other big change besides the sick leaves?
That basically we settle on a 3% cost of living.
Gotcha. Cool.
There wasn't anything else. That's probably why it only took us 3 days, but it was most of us, including the e-board, were tired, and we know this will only be a 1-year contract, so we didn't want to open up anymore. And so that's as far as we got, and we've all agreed to that. We did do the interest-based bargaining, which I think, and Chief Schrotzberger can comment, was much a friendlier way to negotiate, the way it should be. And we hope to continue doing that moving forward. So if you gentlemen have had a chance to look at it, if you guys, the union is currently in voting, it will close tomorrow. If you guys can vote to accept the contract, dependent upon the union, voting yes on it. And so you guys can make a motion for that if you'd like, and vote. If so, you guys pass it. If the union passes it tomorrow, then President Welby and President King and myself and Chief Schrotzberger can sign the appropriate paperwork next week. And the contract will be set for fiscal year 25-26.
Got it.
So
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
Did everybody have a chance to review it?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm good.
There's a lot to review in the time we've had, but yeah.
Austin, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the union contract for 3215. Sorry, scroll to the top. 3215, it's expiring June 30, 26. As long as the 3215 approves or votes yes on their side.
I'll second.
Contingent on yes votes from the union.
Paul, did you second?
Yeah.
Any discussion?
I'm just gonna say I appreciate you guys working together. It sounds like it was much easier and went smoothly.
We would like to continue this trend. So that's the goal and the mission as we move forward. The union is well aware, and we're keeping them apprised of our financial situation. They can see this year's budget and the state of Oregon and the country is where we are. And so they do recognize that, and it's refreshing to have good, open, and honest conversation with them. So I do appreciate all their efforts this year.
There's a typo on page 46, Columbia River Fire and Rescue. Columbia is spelt wrong.
Well, I will let Lieutenant Polito know that he did not catch that typo. Page 46, page 46, Paul.
Yeah.
46, Columbia. Okay. Okay, we will get that corrected.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Please state your name and then say aye since we're virtually, please.
Paul Rice, aye.
Awesome.
Mark Gunderson, aye.
Rick Fletcher, aye.
And aye for Austin.
Yeah, yep, I can. All right.
I'll throw this out. Any opposed? All right. Motion moves forward.
Okay. You could have, if you want to have your comments or anything, that's pretty much all we had on the agenda, sir.
No, I'm good. Any comments from you guys?
I'm good.
Nope, thanks for all your work, Chief.
Thank you guys for your time today. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy days and helping us get this accomplished. And I will let the union know that pending their contract, if they vote yes, then we can get some signatures done next week.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you guys. Have a good weekend. And if you need anything, please give me a call.
Thanks,
All
Eric.
Thank you,
That
guys.
being said, meeting is adjourned.
Bye.
See you guys.